You are listening to Dark Whispers by Jalan, true horror that lingers long after the story ends. Subscribe for daily dives into the eerie, the unexplained, and the stories that were never supposed to be told. I grew up way out in the sticks, one of those spots where your neighbors are deer and the nearest corner store is a half-hour drive. Our land ran right up against this big national park, the kind folks love to hike through and birdwatch in. Peaceful, quiet, the kind of place people call untouched. But they had all these stuck-up rules like no bikes, no horses, just walk or jog. That was it. But I was 10, and that rule was stupid to me. Them trails were made for riding. I'd hop on my bike or a horse and just go. I got caught a few times. Rangers would wag their fingers and mumble something like, "Don't do it again." But I always did. I didn't stop, not until something happened that shook me bad. My family bred horses, so I always had one I could take out, and I did, especially in the part of the park folks called off limits. I knew better, didn't care. This one morning, first day of summer break, sun barely up, air thick with fog and that kind of chill that clings to your hoodie, I saddled up and took off. It was too early for hikers. Nobody would be out there to report me, so I let the horse run. We were flying down the trail, dirt kicking up, trees blurring past. I only slowed once we hit the part that curved near the cliff. The drop led straight to the river below. I might have been bold, but I wasn't stupid. One wrong step near that edge, and I knew it was over. That's when the horse locked up. Dead stop. No warning. It wouldn't move, wouldn't even twitch forward. That spooked me. I'd been around horses my whole life, and when they freeze like that, something's up. I hopped down, checked its hooves, looked around. Everything seemed fine. Still, the horse didn't budge. Then I saw it. Thin, sharp, almost invisible. A wire, stretched chest-high between two trees, right across the trail, just high enough to slice someone's neck clean if they came through running. My stomach dropped. I looked around, but the woods were still, silent. Whoever set that trap knew what they were doing. I tried to undo it, but that wire wasn't coming off. Tied tight. I had to lead the horse off the trail, into the trees, had to climb a bit to get around it. That's when I heard it, singing, low, off-key, sounded muffled, like it was coming through layers of something like blankets or a mask. It was the melody of an old song called a tamtigubar, but the words were twisted. I only remember a little of it, but translated it sounded like, "Hey all you runners, come here passing, let the lifeblood pour out." I froze, heart pounding, chest tight. I backed up slow, got on the horse and kicked. We bolted, didn't look back. I wasn't stopping for nothing, but now I had a problem. I needed to tell somebody what I saw, but that meant admitting I'd been riding a huge loud horse on forbidden land, and I knew if I told the whole truth I'd be in trouble, but keeping quiet wasn't sitting right either, and as I rode home them old stories came rushing back, tales my folks used to whisper about, some crazy man living in an old hunter's shack deep in the woods, supposed to be long gone, but now I wasn't so sure. I told my brother, couldn't keep it to myself. We went back together, we found the trap still there, walked around more and saw something else, a long sharpened pole, half buried, set up just past a fallen log. If you jumped that log running, that thing would have skewered you. That's when we called the cops. They searched the whole area, found more traps, hidden and spaced out, but no sign of anybody, no footprints, no tools, just like they vanished. Next summer, the newspaper ran a story. Folks had found more of those spear-like poles, this time underwater, right below the diving platform at the lake. Same sharp edges, same kind of wood, same setup, and over on the bridge that ran across the river, they found big black trash bags full of rocks, bags placed right on the edge, like someone wanted a car to hit 'em and go flying into the water. Whoever this person was, they were planning something, and I don't think I was supposed to find that wire. The part had likely been removed the first time. Then it appeared again later and got thrown back into the air conditioner. I only noticed it because that unit sits right against my bedroom wall. At first we thought it malfunctioned. I'm not great with tech, so I assumed the piece just loosened and fell in. But when we called a repairman, he ran his hand over it and stared. He said he'd never seen anything break down like that. He suspected someone had unscrewed parts and tampered with the unit. He even thought my dad might have tried fixing it and caused the damage. He had not. A few days after the repairs were done, my mom was leaving for a doctor's appointment. She yelled at us to come outside. Our electric box was open in the yard, and a jar had been left inside like someone was hunting for wires, maybe trying to cut our electricity or disable a hidden security system. We had walked by that box multiple times since the repairman finished, and it had been closed tight, if he even opened it.
And after surviving multiple hurricanes here, we know wind can't just pop it open. Someone had to have done it. Weeks passed without incident. My parents mostly shrugged it off. My dad called the AC issue a fluke. They bought a new gun, and that was it. Then summer started. My grandfather told us something wild. 2 weeks earlier, while we were away, he'd seen a red Jeep drive across our land, taking a long dirt path right up to our house in broad daylight. He didn't recognize the guy. When he asked what he was doing, the man said he was looking for a woman living in a trailer. Said he shared a name with a relative who lived hours away. Grandpa didn't buy it. He told him to leave immediately. After that, everyone started bolting doors, adding locks, and keeping the kids away from the yard. They don't even walk home from the bus stop anymore. I'd stopped worrying so much. I was busy moving to a new state, but then the knocking came back one night at 10 p.m. My parents were watching TV when they heard it. They flipped on the porch light and checked the back door. No one was there. Later, at 3 a.m., I was still up watching TV. It sounded like someone punched the glass on my bedroom window. I covered it with a blanket as usual. An hour afterward, I heard soft footsteps on the back porch outside the kitchen. They stayed still, no walking around. 10 minutes later, there was more knocking, but this time on the living room window near the couch. 3 hard raps, enough to make the wall vibrate, but not enough to move the couch. This wasn't random. It suggested someone lingered outside for hours. That's when the questions hit me. Were we being watched? Was someone waiting for a chance to break in? Had that opportunity come before and they balked? Were they high or drunk and decided it'd be funny to scare us? Why target only our house and not the other ones on the farm? Why walk so far out just to be here? That night, I woke my mom. We stayed up together until dawn, watching. We listed every strange sign, cigarette smells near windows, even though no one in the family smokes or lives close enough to smoke. At times we smelled strange cologne or a chemical stench like perm solution. My aunt's dogs would bark late at night, dogs that usually only bark at strangers. The motion light at my grandfather's house has come on before when no one's home. My mom and I plan to walk around the house the next morning to search for cigarette butts. We're trying to convince my dad to get outdoor cameras. Even though I think we should already have the police involved, we're not getting any support from him. He dismisses it as paranoia or unnecessary cost. I offered to buy cameras using my own money, after I had identity theft problems with my debit card. Only then did he admit he was too scared to actually see something on camera.
He believed that if nothing popped up on video, then nothing bad was happening. That idea sounded like a child's hope. Against all odds, things eventually quieted down. I moved away to another state. Not long after, my grandfather came home one day to police cars in his driveway. Officers were asking if he owned another house on the farm. They wanted to talk to the landlord. That house belonged to a relative's widow who had a lifetime estate. Grandpa explained, "It's part of our shared property." That's when the officers filled him in. She'd been housing her unemployed, drug addict family, daughter, son-in-law, brother, nephew, all living together. We didn't know. They didn't own cars, and we rarely visited. Apparently, conflict broke out one night. The nephew had violent tendencies, was wanted by police for assault and suspected meth. Officers responded to a 911 call from the widow's house and realized he was hiding there. He was arrested, cleaned out. Ever since then, no more chemical smells, no more late-night knocking. It stopped. We think he knew the place before he moved in, maybe used it off and on for years. He didn't own a car, which explains why we never heard engines. He likely walked fields at night to smoke or listen to Pink Floyd, maybe even played Cyrus Minor out here 2 decades ago. Everything fell apart once he was gone. But one mystery remains unsolved. The man who drove to our house when we weren't home asked after a relative hours away. It didn't fit. Maybe they were looking for the nephew and used that name as a check. It could have been coincidence, maybe not. I had some stalkerish internet incident months ago, but that might be unrelated. But this, as strange as it might sound, is not paranormal. I live deep off the road in an unremarkable house on private land. Neighbors are older, quiet, retired, no kids, no pranks, no mischief makers. Still, I'd heard carnival music in my front yard at 3 a.m., not once, twice, with no car in sight. I wish I could say none of this was real, but I can't. The lodge had a nice central area, a pool, a restaurant, nice vibes. The chalets were spread out, the farthest one about 1 kilometer from the restaurant. They'd placed them deep in the bush so you couldn't see the next one over. Only hear neighbors if they were loud. That place used to be something special, but the lodge was going downhill fast. The weekend it happened. The place was ghosted. Only 2 of the 25-plus units were filled Friday night, and on Saturday we were the only ones staying. That creeped me out. Then the lodge manager showed up Saturday morning and handed us the key, said he was off for the weekend. Help yourselves to the fridges in the restaurant. Leave a note. We'll settle up later. Just like that. No check-in, no staff.
We had the pool and jacuzzi all to ourselves. We left mid-morning for a game drive and came back around 3 p.m. Stepping out of the car, I got goosebumps, even though it was hot as hell. 35 dock circs or 100 fef. We parked about 150 meters from the chalet and followed a little path. That's when I noticed fresh big shoe prints over ours from the morning. That put me on edge. The prints curved back the way they came. Everything inside the chalet looked fine. We went swimming, drove some more, and by 5:30 started making a fire, barbecuing meat, prepping dinner. Both me and my girlfriend were quiet, tense. Around 8 p.m. we sat down to eat. I looked at her and she looked back, worried. I asked what's wrong. She said, "I've got a bad feeling we gotta go." I told her I felt the same. "We need to leave now, not after dinner," I said. So we threw food in the cooler, grabbed our bags and ran to the car, jumped in and basically raced out. As we exited the gate, dropped the keys in the box, the dread started to lift. We drove 150 kilometers back home in the dark and finally slept in our bed. Sunday afternoon around 4 p.m. My phone rings. It's the lodge. The manager sounded frantic, asked if we were okay. I said yeah. Why? He told me they'd been broken into Saturday night. Everything of value was stolen. What they couldn't take, they tore up. A group of 5 men did it. They only hit one chalet, the one we stayed in, the one we would have slept in if we stayed. That meant they were watching us. The lodge had cameras, but none on the chalets. We left around 8:10 p.m., packed and ready. By 8:20 we passed the gate. Security footage
showed movement just before 8:30. At least one man had a firearm. Others had machetes. I thought, what if we'd stayed? The nearest help was over 3 kilometers away in a straight line. We were totally alone. Cell service there was weak. The chalet had none. We'd never been able to call for help. After that, we stayed clear of remote lodges. That place shuttered soon after. I saw it go up for bank auction. That experience scared us good. We promised each other then, trust the gut, listen to each other. If something feels off, don't ignore it. That feeling started around 3 in the afternoon when we got back. Neither of us said anything, because we didn't want to ruin the trip. That silence almost cost us everything. So here's the lesson, trust your gut. Trust your partner's gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is.